It's me under your storm.
Oh, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. It is so wonderful to see you all together here in person. This is our first Friday Musicale of Bloomington in-person meeting since the second Friday of February 2020. So it is wonderful to see all of you. I am Sarah Strickland. I believe all of you know me, and I'm your president. And traditionally, in the October meeting, we acknowledge our past presidents. So I'm going to read the names of just a few of our very illustrious past presidents. And if you happen to be in the room, please stand. Josie Lukey was president 84 to 87. Marielle Stout, 87 to 89. Jumping ahead to Yvonne Rainier, who was president from 1999 to 2001. Darlene Pratt, 2001 to 2003. Ruth DeSilvestro, yeah, wait, hey, there she is. Ruth DeSilvestro, 2007 to 2009. Cynthia Reback, 2009 to 2012. Mary Kamenowski, 2012 to 2015. Dr. Vicki King, 2015 to 2020. Hi, Vicki. And I am your current president. And the full list of past presidents can be found in your yearbook, which all of you just got today. Thank you to Vicki King in particular for all her hard work preparing this document for us. And Vicki, would you like to come introduce our guest today? Okay. Fabulous.
We're excited to have this program today. Erzsébet, Gaál, Rinne is not only going to play harp for us, but she's going to do a presentation on wellness. And this is something that's particularly close to my very own heart, is wellness in piano playing wellness and harp playing wellness for musicians. You all have a program, and on the back it tells all of Erzsébet's credentials. I don't want to read that to you, but it's very extensive. We see members of this club quite often and don't realize the people that are walking among us that we see every day and the impact that they are making on the world. But Erzsébet has played all over the world. She teaches day and night. She's on the road all the time teaching in Indy. She's teaching in Evansville. She teaches online. She teaches pre-college harp. But the main thing is she's making a difference in the lives of so many students. And she is spreading the love of music, which is what we're all about. We're all about the importance of music in our lives and in those of others. Erzsébet is very generous with her time as a volunteer. I went to, my neighbors had their 60th anniversary celebration, and Erzsébet was there playing the harp in the park as a gift to this couple, because the woman had helped her so much when Erzsébet came to this country and was a student at IU. And she gave of herself that day, and I've seen her give of herself with the symphony and volunteer so many ways. So we're delighted for her to volunteer this program for us. Please welcome Erzsébet today.
Thank you very much. I have a kind of soft voice, so I'm trying to use that microphone as much as possible. And it was just warm-hearted to hear Vicky's introduction. So today, the program has a title of Kodály 21. What does that mean? What I thought about. It could be Kodály in 2021, it could be Kodály in the 21st century. So who was Kodály? You all know, I am sure, Kodály. Music pedagogue from Hungary, but he was much more than just a music pedagogue. He started out as a linguist, and then a musicologist, pianist, cello player, and then pedagogue, composer, you know all the list. Now, most of the time when I ask colleagues what does Kodály mean to them, then they say, oh, that's sofa system, then that hand signs and whatever. But there are so much more to Kodály system than just these adapted methodologies. So I would like to show you one beautiful program that I was a part of it back in Hungary while studying at the Academy of Music in Budapest. This shows a beautiful branch of the Kodály philosophy. There are many different ways to apply this concept. This is one of them which addresses musicians' health. Kodály himself lived a very healthy lifestyle. He hiked, he ice skated, he learned his scores by walking on the outdoors. So he showed example as well as some more further steps in order to help musicians in their wellness. So the very first one that I will show to you, it's an 8-minute summary of how this physical wellness program is built in Hungary based upon the Kodály philosophy. The first slide is just a colorful, beautiful picture from University of Evansville, where I taught a seminar. And the next one will be the video.
In Hungary, the research in the health education of musicians was launched at the Ferenc Liszt Academy of Music in 1959. Zoltán Kodály, the great Hungarian composer, initiated researches into the problems of the physical condition of students and artists in order to prevent increasing occupational hazards. Dr. Géza Kovács, scientific researcher of the Hungarian College of Physical Education, was appointed for the task. Over a period of several years, he developed a new branch of pedagogy, the method that bears his name, the maintenance of musical work capacity. The Kovács method is a new domain of music pedagogy, specifically elaborated for the needs of pupils and adults engaged in music making, which can be integrated in music teaching and everyday professional practice. The Kovács method is a lifestyle, a workout, and a body of factual knowledge in natural sciences, aimed to help musicians to cope with the mental and physical strains of the profession, and to avoid occupational hazards. Dr. Géza Kovács earned several highly commended state awards for his scholarly achievements. After his death, his work was continued by his colleague and co-author, Dr. Zsuzsa Pastor, music pedagogue, who currently teaches the Kovács method at the Liszt Academy of Music and the Laurent Eötvös University of Science. The most important field of health education is the music school. The Kovács method involves music teachers in the tasks of health education. Thus, pupils will get hold of musical training with physical education from the beginning. The physical training program is an organic part of music lessons. Children continue to apply the correct method learned during the music lessons in their home practice. They do not start their classes only by practicing their scales and finger drills, but warm up the whole body by physical exercises. The series of exercises is adjusted by the teacher to the individual requirements of each student and is recorded in his or her assignment book. Vigorous exercise provides for powerful blood circulation and breathing. It loosens muscles and improves the general state of health, while brightening up attention and cheering up the spirits. In the course of practice, we should never wait until the signs of fatigue present themselves, for tiredness signals the energy deficit of cells and tissues. Straining work while we are tired will cause health hazards. Therefore, practice should be divided into short segments, according to the student's individual needs. In the intervals between the different segments of study, the students are employed in active rests involving the whole body. The right dosage of physical exercise improves oxygen and nutrient supply, stimulates cell metabolism, and thus helps exhausted organs and tissues to regenerate. After this mobile relaxation, mental and physical activity increases, work becomes more efficient, and the time allowed for rest pays off. Thus, we can avoid strain as well. Developed for beginners, this movement program loosens the hand, strengthens the trunk, improves posture, improves breathing, develops stamina, improves movement coordination in such a way as to make playing the instrument easier and more successful. The workload of students produces a quantum leap at secondary schools in both general subjects and musical tasks. Simultaneously, the time allowed for regeneration decreases. The disturbance of the normal equilibrium between work and rest leads to fatigue. At secondary school age, the danger of occupational hazards is amplified. However, damage can be prevented by fundamental training aimed at developing the physical and nervous endurance of students. The students at risk are consulted individually on home training as well as on the correct practicing methods and lifestyle. Students of the teacher training and artist training departments of the Music Academy can take up the Kovács method as an optional subject. The main parts of the training program include the anatomy and physiology of the human body while making music, the risks of the profession, the correct practicing methods, the ways of surmounting excessive stage fright, the prevention of exhaustion and strain, the improvement of physical fitness, the attainment of nervous stability, and the tasks of healthy musical lifestyle. The physical stamina of students is maintained by a workout which pays regard to both the professional requirements and the student's individual needs and actual state of health, and even to the environmental conditions, such as the micro and macroclimatic characteristics and other aspects of the place. At postgraduate level, the Kovács method is taught at the Lorándötvös University of Sciences in Budapest to music teachers who can take a special examination in this knowledge. Students are provided with theoretical and practical training and can carry on individual research in topics related with the Kovács method. The most important aspect of teacher training today is to develop a modern scientific approach to education. The number one instrument in music is the human system, so both teacher and artist have to know their system, just like their instrument, and need to take good care of it to make it work well. If a musician wants to achieve good performance, he must foremost provide the human conditions. Due to university training, the Kovács method is utilized in several music schools in the country. We are still at the beginning of the road, but we hope that the youth educated in the spirit of this method stand a good chance of avoiding occupational hazards and making music in an easier and healthier way.
Thank you for listening. I was part of this program for 10 years before I came to the United States, and I have to tell you that without this experience, I wouldn't be a harpist in my life. So it was a critical part of my education at the Academy of Music. As you saw in this beautiful video program, this Kovács method exercise program is designed from lesson day one in music education throughout the academic to the end of our music work, where teachers teach their little students. So that's also a wonderful carry on of the Kodály concept, the systematic performance. So based on this beautiful video, I hope you got inspired. So let's do a little exercises with balloon. Just grab a balloon. Does everybody have a balloon? Yeah? No, I don't think so. So, the first thing that I usually teach my students regarding warm-up, that there are 5 basic exercises that they can do away from their instrument to warm up the entire body. So one is arm exercise. Second one is leg exercise. Third one is torso. The fourth one is some kind of exercise that deepens your breathing. And the fifth exercise is winding down. If you do this exercise routine, maybe 3 to 5, max 7 minutes. It depends on many details. And then your whole body is warmed up and ready for beautiful instrument playing. So let's do just very simple exercise. Raise your balloon and down. As tall as you can be as you raise your balloon. Good one. And you take your own speed and you do it as many times as it feels good to you. Now, a leg exercise. It's a very simple, again, the simplest exercise. Let's use our knee. So, good. Now, torso exercise. Stand the shoulder width apart with your feet and then hold your balloon and follow the balloon with your eyes as you turn one direction and then to the other direction. Follow it with your eye. Good one. Now, get a little more air, deeper, there are several exercises, and then you need to know what you are capable of doing. For example, I show you an exercise, but be careful with your knees. So, if you want to. Yes, it's good enough if you just bend your knees. You don't need to go over this down. Good one. And then the last one is winding down. It can be a breathing exercise or any light exercise with your head. For example, just blowing. I understand with your mask it's hard to blow. Then maybe we can find another exercise. Look at this. You can just bounce it. Beautiful. And then trade your hand. Thank you so much. Many times students come to lesson, they say after attending school all day that I don't know whether I can make this lesson. And then we get out the balloon, do these exercises, of course variations of these exercises, and in 3 minutes they smile and they're ready to go and do the work in the music lesson. Please have a seat. Beginning of the lesson. This is warm-up exercise. And then I see, whether we need to take a break. Then we do these exercises and that helps them to take a break. In my presentation, I will show you a couple of examples that I do with students. you saw his little finger bending, probably you could see it. What do we do with this little finger that is bending so hard? Let me show you what I did. Oops, no. This is what we did. On the first picture, you see our exercise. So we bounce the balloon with fingertips. That is easy, not as hard to hit like the piano keys. And then do a little rhythm exercise on each finger. And then we did painting with fingertips, just water paint in a lesson. So that was our exercise for the lesson. And in 6 months, look at his finger. Amazing progress what he made. There has not been any problem with his fingers anymore, and he's still playing the piano. Now, here we go, another picture, a harpist hand. Look at those fingers. A lot to correct on this finger position. Very similarly what we did with the piano player's hand. Here we go, another precious little. And join us. Now, do we do these exercises at the beginning of the lesson? Yes. And then look at her. Here was something that didn't please her, obviously. So we just stood up, did maybe 2 or 3 exercises, and then look at the next. Now, we get the corrected version. Obviously, she is satisfied with her playing. And all it took just 2 or 3 exercises without discussing anything, what went wrong. And then I had a student who broke his leg, obviously, you look at it. So what do we do? Do we stop piano lessons? Do we stop working? Oh no, he's in wheelchair, and then we put the balloon on leash and exercised. So life goes on, and we were able to continue our work. So it was a beautiful example again. This little girl is playing the flute, but what I am showing you this picture is that balance exercises are a critical part of this exercise routine. Just a beautiful example. Okay, I used to go to Guadalajara, Mexico to teach summer courses. Here you go, Kodály. So, here we go. These pictures show our work together when we worked in a classroom, we exercised, and then look at this picture. It just shows the joy of this workout that brings a smile to everybody's face, absolutely beautiful. So we talked about warm up, we talked about taking breaks, correcting hand positions, just a whole list what you can do with these exercises. And I asked Sarah to help me out to demonstrate a little bit how I would recommend establishing certain movements, physical movements that we use in instrumental playing away from the instrument that we can learn. So do we have a button? Yeah. So I already showed you one exercise. One of my students named it making pancakes. What does it accomplish regarding our instrumental playing? It accomplishes rotation. How many times we find this physical movement in our pieces of music, but I teach this rotation to my students from the very beginning, and by the time they get to a piece of music where they have to use rotation, they don't even notice what how they use this movement. Otherwise, it would take several months to teach them at the piano. But away from the piano, you can establish this movement, and it's fun. Let's see. Beautiful work. Look at her. So let me show you. Yes, and then try to teach these exercises to do them with the smallest effort. So students start out with big motions, but then how much bouncing we need just so we can turn our hands. Is that right? Another exercise, independency of fingers. It's a big deal to teach students independency of fingers. So here we go, a little exercise. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, fa, mi, re, do. Too much energy. Beautiful, beautiful. Good. Always try to make sure that you do the opposite position as well in these exercises. So now face with the palm towards the floor, and then exercise 5-finger exercise.
Such a good exercise. I'm going to be using this for myself and my students.
Yes. Independency of arms. Again, very important physical movement. We can teach them a whole variety of exercises like palm and the back of the hand, palm on the back of the hand, palm.
You can tell I never played basketball.
And always relax
And
between
then
bouncing.
reverse.
Yes. And then we exercise coordination between hands and the leg, which is critical playing the harp, critical in playing the piano, critical in every instrument, because you do this, you need to, is that right? Pulse, and so on. So coordination of arms and legs are critical. So it's timing, very important. Hey, she knows how to do it.
I'll have to practice that one.
Yeah, so just a few ideas that what can be done away from the instrument that benefit the student, and we can save time and energy at the instrument learning the same exercises. Thank you.
Thank you.
Before I want to show you a beautiful little segment, one of which is about a exercise, and the other one is a piano. There is a couple named György and Marta Kurtár, piano players, probably know him. He's the most well-known composer of these days in Thank you. So he's the most well-known composer in Europe. I studied or I exercised with him in the same group at the Academy of Music, and he coached me on some chamber music, and it's just a breathtaking moment that we can see. Okay, so you saw this beautiful.
Kedves nézők,
You saw this beautiful smile on his wife's face. It's just absolutely beautiful. And then here are 2 minutes of their piano playing that shows the same joy of working together. It's just absolutely breathtaking to me. Any question? The performance was in Carnegie Hall. Yes, yes. And they are in their 90s anymore, and they are still exercising. So that's, again, Kodály's philosophy. Yeah. Any questions. I know it's hard to break this beautiful moment, but would be glad to answer questions. Yes.
I don't have to do it every day. Do you do a lot of the balloon work, or do you just, are you a member of the Y you work out, or what do you do your exercise?
You know, as you saw in the first video, there are exercises that are designed for personal use. So I do exercise at home, and as much as possible, you know. And these days, what is really warranting to me is that they have these classes back at the Academy of Music in Hungary, and they do it on Zoom. So now, twice a week, I can be back to my home country with the colleagues that I know, and we exercise twice a week together on Zoom.
Is your mother able to do?
No, Mama cannot do these exercises. I try to encourage her, and she does some exercise. We walk on our driveway 15 minutes per day when the weather permits, and try to do some exercises indoors. But she thinks this is for musicians. Yeah, but if you think, you know, anybody who's works by sitting, just like musicians, for certain parts of our bodies are very extensively working, and some of them are neglected in this sitting position. So it's the same thing when people work on computer. They are sitting long hours by their instrument and working intensively with their fingers, bad posture, no breathing, you know. So they could benefit from these exercises the same way as musicians do. Any question? No? So, let me just use the microphone to introduce my music. I brought you some Hungarian music, and I don't know, we are getting short, is that right time? So how many minutes should I play?
Play the whole program. We haven't had live music in a year.
If you want to.
So then let me tell you, it's a Hungarian program that I brought since we are talking about Kodály, is that right? So shall I just introduce piece by piece, I think, and then I will change my. So, can you hear me? Wonderful. So, the very first piece that I'm going to play for you is written by Bob Fark, who was a lute player in the Renaissance era. So, it's a transcription for the harp, but I just feel there are so many beautiful moments in this music showing that time of the music life. next piece is again very special to me because this sonata brings together folk melodies, folk songs, but how it brings together these songs without any modification. It just puts them right together as uh, the sonata form requires, and they are there, beautiful, shining, and I can sing them. And so on. Every single piece, every single piece of little song is just a gem, really, and then putting them together into a beautiful form, sonata form, is just one of my favorite pieces, especially that these folk songs came from the area where my father grew up. The next piece on my program takes us to an international scenery. I always feel that every movement of this music is influenced by a different nationalities within Europe. So I just love, again, the collection of these movements. Just take the balloon with you, please. You can take balloon with you, Bob. No, you don't want it. So the next piece is very special to me again, because it was written by one of my colleagues. We attended the Academy of Music together, studied composition in the same class by the same professor, and he wrote many pieces for the harp, not just solo, but chamber music, as well as a concerto. So beautiful compositions, and then at very young age, she passed away because of cancer, unfortunately. But before she passed away, she visited me here in Bloomington. And she spent here some time just observing this beautiful countryside. And I expected that her coming here and just being isolated, writing music. But no, instead, she just wanted to get out, enjoying nature. She visited every single art museum that are around here, as well as in Chicago. So it was a very intensive visit. At the end, we gave a beautiful concert at IUPUI, again, as homage to Bartok. And once she went home, she composed two movements for solo harp, just as memory of her time here in Bloomington. And it's so interesting to me to have this feeling, that how she observed this beautiful place here in Bloomington. I hope you can have some impression about this beautiful moment that she put in music, what she experienced here in Bloomington. I play only one movement of it. I saved the second movement somewhere next time. So the last piece on my program summarizes all that I told you today about this Hungarian music. I feel that it has the folk tradition, the pentatonic scale, what is very important part of the Hungarian folk tradition. And it has certain forms, certain genres that are very common in this Hungarian folk music tradition that Kodály brought out in his collections. It was a beautiful moment for me. I hope you don't mind. I tell you that when I came to Bloomington, I visited the main library on IU campus, and I found these very thick collections of Kodály's work that he collected, these Hungarian folk music. And that really brought tears to my eyes, because it was just so beautiful to see that many places have this beautiful, the result of his wonderful work. So I hope you enjoy this last piece on my program, and just enjoy it.
Yes, I think Sarah's in that group. They're gonna be playing the box, right in her fifth and Cheryl. And Sandra Floyd is singing some Donovan's, competition. So we'll see you there. It's great to have live music. Thank you, Erzsébet, for a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful program. Thank you, thank you. Program booklet, Lenore, be sure you get it over there.